Welcome everyone to the Mind Game of Basketball podcast, one-on-one with yourself. Today, I'm delighted to meet with Dave Hopla. I actually had the chance to listen to him and not meet him at the time because I couldn't speak English. I was only maybe 15 and 16 years old when I saw him at Eastern Invitational Basketball Clinic in Trenton, New Jersey, late 90s, where he was already shooting one after the other and scoring every basket he was shooting for maybe 45 minutes to 1 hour. So I'm very happy to have Dave sharing his knowledge, his experience, and his passion for the game that never expired. So thank you, Dave, for coming over and telling us a little more about your experience and perspective on the mental aspect of the game as far as shooting.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate you remembering me. So, I'm not big on social media and everything. So I'm sort of like, the OG, the old guy. So thank you for having me.
Well, that's perfect. We like people are simple and honest as they are. So thank you for being here with us. We know that you travel the world. You met with like superstars, like from the world of basketball. It's not like about this. I believe I read in some of your previous interviews, no matter who you work with, that it is like a 9-year-old kid or 12-year-old kid or an NBA superstar, you are always available to work with them and help them develop their skills as far as shooting. I believe it's the definition of a teacher, educator, whatever you want to call it. And
Right.
that's the beauty of it. So thank you for taking part of the podcast in the podcast today.
Yeah. And, everyone always asks me, who do you enjoy working with? And I always tell the same answer all the time. It's, whoever listens and works hard, whether it's a, 9, 10-year-old boy or girl or a 10-time NBA All-Star, just, people that are willing to, listen to you and work on what you're trying to teach. And it's a, great relationship and people improve when those things align.
All right. And when you talk about those things, I mean, it's just like the foundation really about developing a real collaboration, a real how to say experience, and the way that you're gonna work with someone, you have to develop trust, and you got to make sure that they're willing to work with you. So no matter how much you're able to give to them,
Right.
if they're not open-minded and willing to receive, there is no point in developing that relationship with them.
Right. Trust is so important. When I first got hired with the Washington Wizards, we had Brendan Haywood, and Brendan, he was like a 51% foul shooter, because he was a foul shooter and I said to him, you're going to shoot 75% this year. He went, well, I said, you're already fighting me. I said, what I want you to do is trust me. I said, if you fail, I fail. And he ended up shooting 73.8% that year from the line. But we built up trust. It didn't happen overnight. He saw that I could make shots, but then when we made a couple little tweaks to his shot, he saw the results. I had him then. And he was he was great to work with. And unfortunately, my second year with the Wizards, he broke his wrist on his shooting hand in preseason. So we only played the last 6 games of the year, but trust is so important with anything. And it's funny when I work out kids, whether, young kids, college kids, or even the kids, now getting for the NBA pre-draft, I always ask them, like, who was their favorite teacher? What was their favorite subject? And it's oftentimes the teacher is, teaching math, but their favorite subject's history. But when those things align, when it's the teacher and the subject's the same, they strive in that environment, because they trust the teacher, they like the teacher and learning for whatever reason, and it's just the same thing with coaches. Some guys like one coach, they don't like another, and the same thing coaches with players and so forth. And
Of course.
and
So in a like a similar situation like you talk about with Brendan Haywood, like how did you manage to develop trust with him?
We started. It was in the summertime. I went down. He was living in Charlotte, and we actually had 3 players living in Charlotte from the Wizards. We had Antoine Jameson and Darius Sangalia. So I'd spent a lot of time in the off season. So down there, so I had Brendan. I had his stats and everything, and I had him shoot like 100, which, took a while because, when most guys don't want to sit there and shoot 100. But I'm saying I'm doing this for my feedback. I want to see where you're missing. Is he missing, short? Is he missing long? Is he missing right? Is he missing left? And then I can figure out, if the guy's missing short all the time, it's one of two things. He's either not using his legs enough, or his elbow was too low on the release point. Doesn't have the arc. Now, if the guy's missing all over the place, you're in for, you got your work cut out for you. And the guy misses right, then he misses left, long, short combination. So we did that. And then I said, okay, what I want you to do, I want you to do this year. I just made a little tweak where I got his toe pointing towards the target, tucked his elbow in, and then, we just shot shots. And what I did, and, I always chart what I do with the players. Now they got apps for it and everything, but I'm going back old school, and I still write it down because I can write down, where the miss was. Like I have codes, LR, it was long right, SR, short right, so I can write that down on, and then I can look to see, is there a pattern? Why is he missing long right every single time or whatever? And then I can go back, video, have the videotape and look to see what is causing that and so forth. But feedback's important. And then, like I said, once we made a little tweak, and then all of a sudden he went back and his numbers increased because we write it down every single time. And like I tell people, you can't improve on something if you don't measure it. And most players, they don't, even same thing with guys that work them out. Okay, we had a great workout. Well, how did he shoot? I don't know. How many shots did he make? I don't know. How many missed? I don't know. But now when you see it, you write it down day after day, and the guy sees he's improving, he wants to practice more, number one, and his confidence grows. And it, success leads to confidence leads to success, and it's an ongoing cycle. So, day after day, he saw himself getting a little bit better. And I always say, let's just get a little bit better today, a little bit better today. By the end of the week, you're that much better. Then by the end of the summer, you're a whole lot better. But in this day and age, everyone wants, instant success, like, the microwavable society.
And that's the way that you, I believe, of what I read, again, tell me if I'm wrong, but that's the way you build your motivation, you build your confidence, right? By writing everything down.
Right. I still chart my shots going to the gym. I have my notebook when I work out, and then I have another notebook like when I speak at camps, because I have somebody chart my shots because I can't keep track of it while I'm, telling my story and everything. But I've been charting my shots since I was 16 years old, and going to the gym every day, it motivates me. Like today might be, the day that I get an all-time high with the most NBA threes in a row, and then I have drills that I also time. So then you have two elements. You're trying to beat your time and also your score.
I understand. I have like at the same time that I'm listening to you, I also have like so many questions coming to you, and I'm just gonna try to be clear and make sure that I don't go everywhere with it.
Sure.
So right now we start with the free throws, and I'm okay with it because to me, when I'm relating about mental performance, it's one aspect that we can relate to so many people, because in every team around the world, about maybe 12 years old, you start shooting free throws at every practice. And no matter the level, again, it can be amateurism or pro level or NBA, EuroLeague, any level, you still see people struggling.
Right.
So with your experience, working as a shooting coach with the professional, with the NBA, and still seeing top organizations with great coaches, skilled coaches, no matter like the specific topic, you have a professional coach who is like great at it. How do you explain that right now we still in 2023, with everything that we're able to use as tools, with all the technology and everything else, how do you explain that we still have people struggling on the free throw line? And by struggling, I mean having shooters around 70% and lower. How do you explain?
Without a doubt, and that's a great question. I'm asked that all the time. And, what you just stated, we have all these videotapes, we have, technique, you have the shooting machines, you have the gun, you got, the coaches. But what's missing is the mental performance coach, somebody that can get, because a lot of it's mental. Like you watch a lot, there's there's guys that look great at the free throw line. They do everything right, but they're just shot out mentally. They have no, their thought pattern. What are they thinking about? What do they, what's your target? There's just so many things. Is their mind, what is your mind doing? Is it in the moment? Is it are you concentrating? Are you not focusing and so forth? And, teams don't have that. And it's so important, once you build somebody's confidence up, there's no stopping that person at their performance. The mind is a powerful thing. And that's one thing that's lacking, not only in the pros, but also even in colleges and so forth.
Of course.
And a lot of players now are starting to realize that, they do visualization. And I did visualization years ago when I was in school. I just used to want to, I'd go into a dark room and I would just close my eyes and I would actually play the game in my mind before I played the game, so I was trying to be ready for any scenario that happened. But the thing is, you get back to the, shooting the foul shot, the free throw is also, there's time to think. A lot of the players are really good reacting because it's boom. Now you're there. Everything's stopped. The referee has the basketball. You're there. He hands you the ball. And, now the mind can do what? The mind can wander and so forth. And I try to talk. I'm living in Naples, Florida now. And, I don't golf, but there's a golf course on every corner. And I talk to a lot of golf pros. And, they talk about a mental game. And, like basketball, okay, when do you have time really to think is when you're at the line, because there's too much movement. In golf, you hit a ball, you don't hit another ball for how long. Your mind has to stay, in the present moment and so forth. And that's what's lacking. I don't think there's enough, enough talk about it and that naturally, and not enough, people employing and using, mental performance coaches. But it's starting to become bigger. There's, books written about it. And, it's, I think it's still it's in its infancy as far as, being in the pros.
Right. Because what's crazy is basically even at the pro level, you have coaches asking players to go shoot free throws to eventually shoot 10 in a row or score. It's all right. It's a little ambiance. We have to deal with it. It's okay.
Yeah.
So when you have pros basically going and coaches asking them to shoot for 10 in a row, 20 in a row, and eventually score 8 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 to finish practice. That's not enough, because you just ask them to do the shooting on the technical side. But how do you prepare the players to shoot mentally, like you said? And we're just talking about shooting a free throw during the game, which is even different than shooting a free throw at the end of the game for the win. Because sometimes you do have very good free throw shooters, 85 to 90% free throw shooters, who go on the free throw line and then we freeze and we shoot the free throw and be short because they don't follow through all the way because they don't want to miss, So it's different. You have different profiles of players, different reasons why the players are missing the free throws. And we don't want to make robots. We don't want to make players who are perfect and without imperfections, obviously. But we want the players to be in control of what they're doing. And right now, the players are not in control. And what I do with my players is actually teach them and change the perspective for them to appreciate the moment, appreciate to go to the free throw line and take it as a gift. Don't take it as a burden. You know what I mean? And that perspective is so huge already when you manage to build that relationship with the player and teach them how to appreciate that moment, to know that, for example, I'm not gonna keep going with my thing. I'm gonna go with the question. When you make your shooting sessions, when you miss a shot, no matter from where, what do you tell yourself?
I always use a little feedback. I want to know where it hit, and then I just go back that I'm going to swish the next shot. I aim for the center of the basket. I know there's not a focal point, of actual physical point, but if I can put the ball somewhere in the center of that rim, I can make mistakes and still make shots. I can be long, short, off, left, right, or a combination. Whereas if I aim for the front of the rim and I shoot short, I shoot an air ball. And so many players, like they make it, they over adjust. They miss short, the next shot they hit the back of the rim. And I say, that's good. You tried to get better, but you over adjusted. I always say I'm going to go swish, so I make a slight adjustment as opposed. But I always say I don't like to, I said, guys get mad when they miss and they have bad body language. And I always say a miss is feedback. It's giving us feedback. Don't take it as like, I don't want body language, but the head goes down, everything. Hey, okay, where did it hit? Hit the front rim. Okay, why did it hit the front of the rim? Oh, you froze your fall. Elbows above the eyebrow. You got to use your legs. There's a reason why. Now, if you drop your hands, now you still can make a shot dropping your hands. But was it your follow through or was it your legs? You don't know because you didn't freeze the follow through. So you don't have the feedback from freezing the follow through. So I always try to use it like same thing, even like, there's only wins and L's for learning. And it's the same thing on a missed shot. Let's learn from it. And then you get other guys, they just keep missing the same way every time. And what's the definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing the same way and expecting a different result. So, but that's my thought right now. I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna switch the next shot.
And that's the thing. So like two things that you just talked about. First, when you looking to switch the next shot, like you said in your videos that I watched also, it's like you basically focusing and even more basically like
Right.
you're raising your standards, and when you raise
Yes.
your standards, even if you actually do not swish on that one, well, you have higher chances than for scoring, except that if you just look for scoring, you eventually
Right.
miss the scoring and then you don't score.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Because like I said, to make a shot's one thing, to swish a shot takes more concentration, more focus. And it's funny at my gym, I always say you have to leave when you hang the net. So it has to also be a swish, but the net also has to get stuck up on the rim. And, it's funny, like I said, focus and concentration. I do this a lot of times with the kids, okay, they shoot an air ball. We've all shot an air ball. And then the crowd gets into that, air ball. And I say, kid, what are you thinking on the next shot? And the kids will say, I hope I don't shoot an air ball. So they hit the rim. Okay, you just set out what you wanted to do. Or I hope I don't miss. Well, when you say that word, I hope I don't miss, what are you actually thinking of? You're thinking of missing. My thought process, I'm going to swish. I'm going to swish. I'm going to swish. So like I said, my concentration of focus is laser-like as opposed to, well, I hope I don't this. I hope I make it stuff. No, not how I'm going to, And like I told people, I'll go to the line and I'll say, okay, when I was my first coach told me to aim for the front rim. I hit the front rim every time. I never scored. Then my next coach, so I was short all the time. He told me to aim for the back of the rim. I hit the back of the rim every time. I didn't score. And I went to camp. Like you said, you were 16 or so. I went to camp when I was 16 in the Pocono Mountains, and a guy, Hank Slider, was a shooting guy. And I remember I said, what, one coach told me this, another coach, and he asked me a question. He said, where do you want to put the ball when you shoot it? I said, in the middle of the basket. He goes, you just answered your own question. In the middle of the basket, it's the middle of the basket, no matter where I shoot from. Consistency is the mark of greatness. The only time I would change my target, naturally, is if I shot a bank shot. But the center's the center no matter where I shoot from. So, that was huge, and seeing myself get better. And like, I'll go and I'll shoot, like I'll say, oh, I shot, I hit the back of the rim. I said, but what did it do? It went in. Okay, shoot the other, well, hit the right side. It went in. I said, I only swished 5 out of 10, but I made all 10. So I actually missed my target 5 times, but in the scorebook, I'm 10 for 10.
And that's what the best shooters are doing. I mean, I know Steph is doing it. They always raising the standards. And
yeah, he shoots on Noah's Arc in the off season. It's a device that measures your arc and also the depth. So he has to shoot with a 45-degree arc, and it has to be 11 inches deep. So it's like almost a perfect swish. If he swishes at 47 and 9, he doesn't count it. He wants that mark to be 45-11 every time, and that's like what the great ones do. They make it tougher so the game is easy.
Right. And so the second aspect that I want to talk about, because I believe a lot of players have to deal with it. I know I had when I was in college, and like you said, I mean, I like your perception, but to me, it has to be taught about the feedback, about correcting and everything, which completely makes sense. But it's something that you have to be taught, because I wanted to ask about perfectionism, because you have like so many players not accepting for several reasons actually the missed shots. Is it the look from others? Is it about their expectations? Like all those things. Is it about education? The fact that when you go to school, you have something wrong. It's basically red on your paper. It's not right. And in basketball, I would like to give an example. When you have the stats, right? We all like we grew up with fans about the stats. Want to
Sure.
do like great stats or what? But for example, I was point guard, and I love passing the balls, and to me it was awesome to be able to do like nice moves and give
Right.
nice passes and give assists. But for example, if on a play I make a nice pass to the guy and then he's missing the shot, and then in another play I make a nice pass and he's scoring the shot, I just have one assist.
Mm-hmm.
I make two nice passes, and in the stats we only have one assist, and we
Right.
never paid attention about that one nice pass that was a great pass,
Yeah.
but that wasn't an assist because the shot wasn't scored.
Right.
And I want to relate to that about the shooting system, because when you are shooting 60%, let's say on the field goals, you might have scored 6 out of 10, but out of the 10, how many shots did you take that were correct shots with
Right.
the right technique that you practice,
Sure.
with the follow through, with the angle, with the
Yeah.
coordination, all those, with the
Yeah.
rhythm, with being open, with being balanced, all
Right.
things. And like statistics right now are like a certain way, but do you know what I'm saying about like how could we build like developing statistics another way for players to be maybe accepting their shooting like some other way?
Right. It's funny. Years ago, I was out at Fresno State when Coach Tarkanian was out there, and I was with John Welsh was an assistant at the time, and John coached in the NBA for a number of years. He's with Memphis, Denver, and most recently the Clippers. And actually, his son is an assistant coach with Coach Calipari at Kentucky. And we used to work with the guys. We were working them out, and Coach Tarkanian would have me come and work with the players, and we would have the players actually, we'd have them give a rating system when they shot the ball. We wanted to hear what their feedback was. So we had from 1 to 5. Okay. And we had, guys shot it. Okay. He called it out when it leaves his hand. We didn't want to know what the result was. We wanted him to 4. Okay. Maybe it went in. Why'd you say 4? He goes, I didn't freeze my follow through, or my follow through was too low. Okay. Shoots another 3. What was on that? He goes, my base was too wide and stuff. So they were becoming aware of their shot. And as they got, 5, okay, you might shoot a 5, didn't go in. What was that? And we call it a pro miss, which was actually long and straight. We said if there's such thing as a good miss, it's long and straight because, it was on target. It had a chance. Short never has a chance. That's what the golfers say. Never leave a putt short because it never has a chance. And you watch the golfers where they leave putts all the time. They leave them short 90% of the time, right? So we found that was very, the players like that. So, we want to have many more 5s. And as they got used to calling at the numbers, we saw their, the percentages in practice, including, getting better and so forth. And, it's funny, like when I chart every shot when I, with the NBA teams, and I had my own little charting system, BS, was bad shot. And I would chart where it happened. AB would be air ball, SC short clock. So you might take more bad. Like Carmelo took a lot more bad shots because he had the ball with 2 seconds on the shot clock. So, talk about your percentage going down. You see some guys won't even shoot like the half court shot, because they don't want their percentage to go down. And other guys are like, hey, I'm going to shoot it. I'm not worried about that. So, I thought that helped out tremendously with players, raising their confidence, but also their awareness, and you're actually not thinking of making or missing the shot. You're worried about your school, getting a 5. So you can get a 5 with missing. Everything was great. But like you said, now when you watch a game, it's magnified. You miss the free throw, especially late in the game. Well, guess what? That other guy missed 4 early in the game. They just not magnified as much as it is in the last minute or 2 minutes of a game. And last night, Mike Conley had the 3 big ones at the end. Did you see that?
Right.
Anthony Davis fouled him, and that first one was a little shaky.
But he made it. He went
in, and that's it. And made his adjustments and so forth. So
and another aspect, different topic also. What do you feel about like the subconscious? What I mean by that is like, to me, like players who are average or bad free throw shooter, like for example, like again 70% or lower. To me, it's like low standards in free throw shooting.
right.
What would you say about like the role of the subconscious? In my perspective, the players go to the free throw line, they already accepted that they are bad free throw shooters.
Right.
So when they do go there, first of all, like I was saying earlier, they first of all do not appreciate going there. It's not a pleasure for them to go there. And they see people like looking at them like they expect to miss it. And they just consciously they want to go score, obviously,
right,
but subconsciously they program themselves to go and miss the free throw. And that's why I go back to what I said earlier about the fact that we train the players, we make player practice on the technical aspect of shooting,
right,
but we should definitely develop other than just with sports psychologists. We're going to tell you about the mental health, like we talked about of the case earlier, and develop the mental side specifically with basketball players, specifically to what they need,
right. And what you're talking about, I go back to several games, and like I don't know if you remember when Nick Anderson missed four free throws against the Chicago Bulls in the playoffs.
I haven't seen
it. He got to the free throw line, and Nick Anderson was a slasher, very explosive player. So he missed 2. It was in the fourth quarter against the Chicago Bulls in the playoffs. He missed 2. And about 2 minutes later, in the fourth quarter again, he went back to the line. He missed 2 again. I said to my mom when I was watching the game, I said, he has no chance of making these. He looked like a deer in headlights. He wanted to be anywhere else but there. And so when he missed those 4, the next year, he didn't drive to the basket anymore. He just started launching threes because he was afraid to go to the line. Didn't even want it and then the other guy, Vin Baker, used to play for Seattle, was another guy, had great moves up and under. He all of a sudden couldn't make them, and he didn't want to go there. And, you see it in other sports as well. Like, you see like baseball players, all of a sudden they can't make a throw from second base to first base. They get like the yips and everything. And a great example a few years ago, Markelle Fultz was all shot mentally, and they were doing everything they brought in. They had a shooting coach, everything. It was his mind that they needed to work on, and you see it all the time with guys, and and they're not hiring mental performance coaches full time on most of these teams. They got all these analytic guys with the iPads. They got this guy that's a defensive whiz. This guy's a ball handling guy. But what about the mind?
And what's crazy when you actually give the situation right now, opponent situation, is that again, like I'm not criticizing anyone in the staff. I mean, there are professional coaches, really talented, hard workers in many organizations at the NBA, EuroLeague, or whatever. But those people are spending so much time analyzing and trying to find solutions on the technical and tactical side, and even strength and conditioning coaches are doing. And you're like, how can you let the mental aspects being so like so much being a pain for you, like so much being a burden for you, in the way
Right.
that you say, okay, we humans, so we have to deal with it. I had a coach telling me, that's part of the beauty of the game, that we have those like that we don't know what's going on, like it's part of the beauty of the game. And I love the beauty of the game. I love that there are crazy things happening during the game.
Right.
This is beauty.
Mhm.
But when you're in lack of control of your emotions, when you're not prepared, because when
Right.
talking to me about Vin Baker or Anderson, who's not going back the year after to the free
Mhm.
throw line because he had a precedent about like missing, that
Yeah.
means he did not build up his work during the summer. He did not
Right.
visualize and prepare
Mhm.
himself to go back and say, next time I'm going there, I'm going to be prepared,
Right.
you
Sure.
know?
I'm
And
gonna
and
knock
and,
it
and
down,
that's crazy.
Yep. And as an athlete, once you lack confidence, you're done. I mean, and like I always like, listening to like Michael Jordan talking, and in the old, Kobe, who I, was blessed being able to work him out his first 4 years. But I did a drill with Kobe. It was the first time we were working out, and we were at Cal State Northridge. And it's 4-shot drill. You start at midcourt, you catch and shoot, 15-footer. You go to the left, left sideline, you come around, you hit a left jump shot at the left elbow, you sprint to the right side, right elbow, and then you go to midcourt and you finish with a dunk or a layup. So do the drill. Kobe knocks the shot down. He gets there, boom, knocks the second, knocks there. Now he goes to midcourt, comes in, he goes in for a dunk. And his foot's about a foot inside the free throw line. He goes in for a dunk and he misses the dunk. It hits the back of the rim. It goes all the way down to the other end of the court. He sprints like it's the seventh game of an NBA championship, dunks it. He goes to me, I'm doing the drill again, and I'm not missing the dunk. Now, I've done that drill with hundreds of guys, and they miss the layup or dunk, and they stop like, oh, can you believe I blew this? But it's a time drill, so your time's still going. I've also had players miss the first shot and say, coming, we start on a make. See the mental, and then it tells me the mental makeup right there to players. Okay, this guy's not gonna. He wants everything to be going his way. Like, oh, okay, he made a shot. And how many times you see guys miss shots? They hang their head. Well, guess what? That other team's already going down, or you're feeling sorry for yourself. And that's what I thought the difference, like between Michael was and everyone else. When Michael wasn't shooting the ball well, he became a better defender. He goes, you're not even going to touch the ball. If I can't score, I'm having a bad shoot night. Guess what? You're not even going to touch the ball. Whereas everyone else, they shoot bad. It affects their defense.
And sometimes it's a lack of humility in the way that you don't accept, like sometimes, again, it's from the look from others that we don't accept.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I had like in the EuroLeague the last few days, I watched like a good free throw shooter miss the first one. It was
Uh-huh.
actually Satoransky, who was playing in the Wizards and who play right now
Yes.
in
Yeah.
Barcelona,
Thomas. Yeah. Yeah.
and Thomas Satoransky. And last week he missed a free throw, and when he missed the free throw, and on top of that, it was a game that they were gonna win. It was EuroLeague, but they were gonna win
Right.
for sure. No pressure whatsoever. He misses the first free throw, and when he misses the first free throws, he has a reaction like
Uh-huh.
this, and you're like, but why do you need this? Why
Yeah.
do you need to show like,
Mm-hmm.
oh man, I should not have missed that one, and show
Right.
like a negative body language,
Right. Negative body language. Body
right?
language screams.
Except like the champions that you talk about, like a player like him with such experience, with such
Mm-hmm.
knowledge, with everything, well, you should show serenity. You should be
Yeah.
confident. I
Mm-hmm.
missed the first one and do the same that you just said, which
Right.
means gives me feedback. Why did I miss it? I
Mm-hmm.
correct. And he did score the second one.
Right.
No, it's not a problem about this. It's the thing is, I need to justify by my body language that it's
Mm-hmm.
not okay for me to miss the first one. It's not my
Right.
standard. So I show everybody in the
Yeah.
gym, in the arena,
Mm-hmm.
that
Yeah.
okay, I should not have missed that one.
Yeah.
And I'm showing that it's not my standards. And I believe champions should be taught to say, all right, I don't care about what's
Yeah.
going on. I missed
Right.
the game. It happens to miss to miss a shot, but then I go back, I correct, and I score, and period. But no reaction. You were talking
Mm-hmm.
about goal, but look at tennis. The best champions, like Roger or
Mm-hmm.
Nadal or
Right.
Djokovic or
Yeah.
whoever before, like Sampras or whoever. they
Right.
were not showing their emotions when the
Bjorn Borg was like,
more important points, you know,
yeah.
on the break points or whatever, they're not frustrated, or very, very little frustration.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it matters. The champions are really like
Sure.
showing such a high
Mm-hmm.
mindset at
Right.
that time.
Yeah.
And that we have a lot of work on that aspect in basketball.
Yeah. It's funny, you say that, like, when I have, kids, sometimes, their parents come in, and like, I have like, kids will miss a shot, and they'll, like, all of a sudden they'll look over at their mom and dad. I'm like, they didn't shoot the ball. Or like a kid will, like, when they missed, or they'll go, the negative. I said, how come is it every time I can tell when you miss, because you have a negative, your body, you have negative reactions. I said, but when you make it, I don't see anything positive. I said, I shouldn't be able to tell whether you made or missed a shot by your body language. And everyone else sees that in the gym. Like you said, he was hanging his head. Everyone sees that. We know you missed. We know you're a good shooter. Why do you have to have that negative, body language?
It's like a justification, we had to
Yeah.
feel like, oh, my bad, I missed it. I meant to do well. I can do better. And
I always get a kick, out of, when the guy misses the free throw, his teammates dap him. They give him, I said they should give him a kick in the ass every time when he misses it.
that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, imagine doing that, you'd be done, right?
All right. Dave, I would like to talk to you for hours, but I don't want to take like much more of your time. I would like maybe you to tell me, is there something else that you would like to share with our listeners from around the world, and give like, again, we talked about so many different things about the shooting aspect. Do you want to sum it up in like a few sentences about, like, what do you think through your rich experience, what is the most important things for players to focus on? Do you have a message to send to organizations around the world about like the way that you see things should be getting organized? You were talking about like through everything that you lived, that you went through. Tell us through a few sentences what you want to give,
What I see going on, with the game of basketball, it's a global game. I mean, I feel that, the European players, the Canadians, have caught up to the U.S. and surpassed us in developing players. I feel that our grassroots program is broken because kids just play way too many games. They AAU. I mean, right now the high school season just ended. They have a tournament, an AAU tournament. Like, how did you get your team ready? Already. And we just play game after game after game. So nobody's developing, a specific skill or working on any of their weaknesses. And I say this: who are the best players in the NBA right now? They're all foreigners. The MVPs have been foreigners over the last few years. But you look at the best players, and the Canadians have done a great job of developing players. And the problem is, in this country, every kid now, they don't watch a whole lot of NBA games. They just watch the highlights. Either they go on the app, just watch the highlights. So they're just like, and then they go out and try, like, the Jason Tatum sidestep three. And what they don't understand, and like you said, go back, there's stats on everything nowadays. They got the advanced stats. They got the advanced, who's the best shooter within a defender within 6 feet of. Well, Jason Tatum on catch and shoot threes, he makes 41.1% of his shots, which if he would just do catch and shoots, he'd be one of the top 3-point shooters in the NBA. But he also likes to pound that rock and do that sidestep. When he shoots threes off the dribble, he shoots at 25.5%. So overall, his percentage is like 34.2. So he's below the league average in 3-point shooting because he takes so many bad shots, and the kids see him make it because that's the one they show on the highlight. They don't show the one where he went 1 for 6, where he didn't even hit the rim. And then the kids go out and practice that, and they're practicing the wrong things. And like I tell people, you want to be a great shooter from 3, you better be a great shooter from 2 feet away first and work your way out. And I always tell kids, make shots, not excuses. And fundamentals never go out of the game. They never go away. I mean, Michael Jordan, when he was 40 years old, averaged 20 points a game. He was no longer Air Jordan, because he was fundamentally sound.
Yeah, I could not agree more with you. I think it's fantastic to get your feedback, and again, thank you very much, Dave, for coming over tonight and sharing all of your experience and your passion for basketball with all of us. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me, and hopefully we can get on at some other time, Nico.
Definitely, definitely, Dave. Will do.
Thank you very much. You have a great night.
You too. Thanks.
Thank you.